What's up, everybody? Back with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about the most recent versus to come on YouTube, which is the Andrew Tate versus Chase Demoor fight. That fight was really it was really something, but there's a lot of people in the comment section really just talking crap about Andrew Tate and Chase Demoor and all this other stuff, and I'm not really going to get too much into Chase Demoor, but I am going to get into the reason of why Andrew Tate lost to Chase Demoor. Guys, if you think you're going to like this, go ahead and subscribe. If you think you're not going to like it, still subscribe, because it is what it is. But anyways, let's get into this video. So first of all, Andrew Tate versus Chase Demoor. Now, in the beginning, a lot of people thought Andrew Tate was going to wash this dude, which I was the same way. I actually thought that Andrew Tate was going to win, not factoring in a bunch of different things that's been going on recently with Andrew Tate and whatever. And I'm not trying to say, oh yeah, Andrew Tate, he just wasn't like ready, which after going through all this stuff, I'm going to show you why I know for a fact that Andrew Tate wasn't ready. Now, this is not to take away from Chase Demoor at all, but if you look at Chase Demoor's fight and look at his tactics and his fighting style, I'm not gonna bash him, but it's very weak. Like I think a lot of people have seen better boxers than Chase Demoor. I think he's a big guy. I think he lands a lot of good punches, but I think that he's just not that good of a fighter. And I think with some time and some just locking in, he can become a way better fighter than what he is right now. That fight that I saw last night was pretty, I ain't gonna lie, pretty trash just on both ends. So yeah, let's get into why I think that Andrew Tate lost. First and foremost, the easiest thing to say is that Andrew Tate and Chase Demoor, it's a 10-year age gap. Andrew Tate is, I think, 39. Chase Demoor is 29. Now, off rip, you're automatically going to understand Andrew Tate's 39. He's no longer in his prime. I think your prime years are in between maybe like your 20s to your 30s. Once you start getting higher 30s, you're no longer in your prime, and especially if you're not staying active in a specific sport, I'm pretty sure that still be in your prime as much as you were when you were younger and you were actively, still training for your specific sport. So that 10-year age gap is going to play a big difference. I don't care what anybody says. It is going to play a big difference, especially if the person is 40. I saw someone saying that, oh, he's 39, not 70. He is not 70. Obviously, he's not that old, but he's still 39. He's not in his prime anymore, and he's going up against someone 29. Chase Demoor is still in his prime, and even though he's not that good of a boxer, he's still in his prime. He's probably faster, he's bigger, he hits harder, he's still got that energy in him. And Andrew Tate, if you look at him, even if you look at how his fighting style is, Andrew Tate is not that much of a offensive fighter. While if you're watching him sparring, you're looking at him and he looks more of a defensive fighter, like he's waiting for an opening. And I think that's how I fight too. I used to wrestle back in high school, and that's how I typically would fight. I would wait for an opening. I would let the guy feel like he has an upper hand, and then as soon as my opening, I would go for it, and it would end up going in my favor. So that's how I typically fight. And after watching Andrew Tate and how he operates when it comes to fighting, that's how he fights. Now, the first thing, like I said, the 10-year age gap is going to play a difference, but I don't think it's going to play that much of a difference if he's still training. And the second thing is Andrew Tate smokes a lot. You can see him and his brother smoking cigars all the time, right? Andrew Tate was gassed in like the third round. As you can clearly see, he got a lot of body shots off in the first and second round. By the third round, he was pretty much done, and there were 6 rounds. So after that second round, Andrew Tate was pretty much done. And after getting hit couple times in the head, oh yeah, you're pretty much gonna be done. So yeah, that smoking does play a big part in his stamina. He's breathing heavy, he's breathing hard. Yeah, if you're not specifically training all the time and you're not dedicating your life to a specific sport, it is going to play a big part. And if you're smoking a lot, Andrew Tate smokes a lot. In his videos, you see him smoking cigars pretty much all the time. I don't know if it's just for cool factor or if he just likes smoking it. I think it does add a cool factor, but it does play, it does hinder you when you have to, go multiple rounds in a boxing match. So I'm pretty sure that's the second reason. That's the second reason why I think that Andrew Tate did lose this fight. Moving on to the third reason that Andrew Tate lost this fight is that the different fighting styles. Before this fight, I didn't even know Chase Demoor from that reality TV show was boxing until recently. And then, you know, everybody tuned in pretty much for Andrew Tate to beat up Chase Demoor. Didn't go as planned, but Chase Demoor had trained several years, specifically just boxing. So he does have more experience. Even though he's not that good of a boxer, his experience, he has a lot more experience than Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate is a kickboxer. Different fighting style is going to play a part. If you look at certain kickboxers, I saw some videos, certain kickboxers, now it depends on who the kickboxer is, but I think in a lot of times when you're a kickboxer, sometimes your guard does drop a lot because you're about to kick. People who are kickboxing, they have to not only look out for headshots, but they have to look out for body shots, they have to look out for leg shots. So Andrew Tate wasn't fighting like a boxer who trained for boxing. And also, I think Andrew Tate only trained for about 3 or 4 months prior to this fight. That does play a part. Everybody can sit there and bash Andrew Tate and say Andrew Tate lost and blah, 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 and laugh or whatever. But he only trained for like a few months. That's not going to do you any well with someone who's trained for several years. Like I said, even though Chase Demoor isn't that good of a boxer and he could definitely use a lot more training, Chase Demoor still has the upper hand because he's trained for 7 years over Andrew Tate's a few months of actual, you know, learning how to box. Also, when you're watching Andrew Tate boxing, his guard is dropped a lot. Now, I think this is probably like the 5th or whatever reason. I'm not even keeping count at this point. I'm just talking. The different fighting styles are definitely going to play a part because one is this is a boxing match. It's not a MMA, this is not a kickboxing match. It's strictly just boxing, which means Andrew Tate is not kicking. Now, if Andrew Tate could kick, I'm pretty sure he would win. But that's not what happened. This is not a kickboxing match. It's just a regular boxing match, and so that does play a part. Like I said, Chase Demoor trained several years. Andrew Tate trained a few months for this match. Next, we gotta look at the fact that Andrew Tate's guard is very low because of his fighting style. If you look at his fighting styles from his past sparring matches and past fights, his guard is literally dropped to his chest to neck area. Now, typically, I'm pretty sure that your guard is supposed to be, you know, lower chin, you know, upper just a little bit in the face, guarding the face in some type of way. Andrew Tate's guard is very low. Chest to neck area, that's where his guard typically stays at. And I think it typically stays that way because he's used to kicking. I just saw a few fights where Andrew Tate won and where he's kickboxing. He does a lot of kicks, and those kicks are, I think, the main reason that gets him his wins because he's a hard kicker. He kicks hard. So, like I said, that's another thing that plays a part in this and that people are not considering when it comes to this boxing match that just happened. People think that, you know, even I thought that Andrew Tate was going to wash Chase Demoor, not realizing the multiple factors that plays a part in him losing or winning. And like I said, that's another reason. His guard is very low just because I think that's his fighting style. I've seen other kickboxers fight and sometimes their guard is high, but if you're looking out for not just punches to the face, punches to the body, but kicks to the leg, kicks to the body, you know, you have to basically start multitasking, looking out for multiple different things, and also while still trying to get a hit on that person. So you're not, just like boxers, you're not just focusing on someone else's hands. You're focusing on 2 hands. You're focusing on 4 limbs coming towards you. And so that's how Andrew Tate typically fights. And like I said, if Andrew Tate has been fighting like this for years and years, he's been fighting like this for a long time, right? There's no way that in a boxing match for this one time, and especially when he's not even in his prime, that he's just going to become that good of a boxer and beat Chase Demoor, who's been training for several years. If this is how he typically fights like he's kickboxing. Andrew Tate's stance is usually wide. I think that's more normal for people who are doing MMA, mixed martial arts, kickboxing, you know, wrestling, stuff like that. You need a wider stance just in case you have to go to the ground, but also as well, just because probably going to end up using your legs to strike the person. So that's typically what happens. Also, like I said, his guard being very low, he could have, I heard the announcer or one of the guys in there said that if his guard wasn't so low, Andrew Tate's guard, a lot of those punches wouldn't have been able to land and wouldn't have been able to daze him as much as it was. But Chase Demoor was getting a lot of hits on him because Andrew Tate's guard was just so low during that fight. And that plays a part. He was gassed by the second round and he was getting hit in the head multiple times. Andrew Tate was only doing body shots. That's my next thing we're going to talk about. The body shots. Andrew Tate, in the first 2 rounds, he was really just body shotting the whole time. I think for the most part, I think he got a few hits on the head, but I think those hits to the head were when he was a lot closer. Those body shots he was taking in the first, or he was giving to Chase Demoor in the first 2 rounds, those were the shots that he could reach Chase Demoor. Chase Demoor is a big guy. He's a tall guy. His arms are long. So it was pretty hard to hit Chase Demoor without getting hit back. So I think Andrew Tate's strategy was just trying to wear him down on his body. But I think that body shots are not going to be as effective as getting hit to the head multiple times. I do know that it plays a part, in the long run. But I think if you can't factor in body shots with some kicking shots to add a little bit more damage, it's not really going to do that much in a boxing match. Don't get me wrong, Andrew Tate is a really good fighter, but there were just multiple things that was going against him, and a lot of people didn't look at these factors before, the match came out. Everybody thought that Andrew Tate was going to really wipe the floor with Chase Demoor, not even just wipe the floor with him, but at least beat him, and that just wasn't the case. He wasn't able to do what he needed to do just because of all those different factors. People can say, oh yeah, Chase was just a better fighter. If we look at it, Chase obviously wasn't the better fighter. His style, his tactics, his punching, his jabs, everything about what was going on with Chase Demoor, what he was doing, there was a lot of hugging going on as well. But his strategy, Chase Demoor's strategy and Chase Demoor's training, like the guy said, seemed like it just went out of the window, especially as the more tired Chase Demoor got. So he definitely wasn't the better fighter, but he was definitely more trained in boxing than Andrew Tate. And people don't want to admit it, but that does play a big part in how the fight is going to end up. Well, the ones I talked about are the main ones that people need to consider. Andrew Tate's a kickboxer. He smokes. Also, he's been out of the game for, I think they said he was out of the game for 5 years, but I think he's been really out of the game for longer than 5 years. So especially after going in and out of jail or prison or wherever he was going, he's been out of the game for so long. He's got a lot on his mind. He's got all this stuff going on. He's not mentally, I don't think he was mentally in a headspace to be in this mindset to just be be an athlete at this point. I think he's, like I said, I don't think he's mentally, physically past his prime when it comes to being an athlete, right? Now, Andrew Tate, props to him getting in the ring with Chase Demoor, a better, bigger guy, the one who's had more training than him, because Andrew Tate is a warrior. I think all of us as men have to think of ourselves as warriors and fighters, and never, even if we get old, always challenging ourselves physically, that we can still, even though we may not always win every fight, we can still compete. And I would rather be led by someone who would rather go out there knowing that there's a possibility that they might lose, but still going out there to fight, and showing what they still have left in the tank, other than someone who's just going to sit and laugh and on the comfortability of their home and just not fight anybody because they're weak. So Andrew Tate's definitely a warrior for going out there and doing that in the first place, even though he has less experience in boxing, period, just normal boxing as Chase Demoor. People are saying, oh, how did he lose to Chase Demoor? Chase Demoor, look at his fighting, he's terrible. Guys, let's be real. Chase Demoor is what, 6'5", 6'4", something like that. He's a big dude. If he does hit, he's hurting him. You know what I'm saying? Chase Demoor, he can barely hit, he can barely throw them punches, but when he does, I'm pretty sure the shit's hurt. He's a big dude, you know what I'm saying? So imagine you a regular guy. Most people are, Andrew Tate's what, 6'3", 6'2"? Imagine you're a normal guy trying to get, hit by Chase Demoor. You're probably going to get knocked out. Let's take a quick step back and look at this, guys. Andrew Tate took a lot of hits to the face. He did not go down. Now, he was stumbling, you know what I'm saying? He was out of it, but bro was taking them. He was eating those punches, man, which means what? Most of the people that's talking crap could not beat Andrew Tate, couldn't beat Chase Demoor. So let's just stop the cap with the bull crap. Also, I know that a lot of people had a lot of money. I'm pretty sure a lot of people had a lot of money on this fight, thinking that Andrew Tate would win. Not factoring certain things. I think people were like, oh yeah, he's a top G, he's a kickboxer, he's an MMA fighter, blah, blah, blah. But we gotta look at everything, guys. We gotta look at everything that's going on, and this is the main reason. These are the reasons, right? that I think that Chase Demoor won ultimately, because he's a big guy. He trained several years. Andrew Tate's been smoking. He's been out of the game for a while. He wasn't even really in the mental space to be able to be an athlete at this point in his life after everything that he's been dealing with. He's a kickboxer. His guard is always low, which means his trainer, even if his trainer was telling him, like, keep your guard up, keep your guard up, keep your guard up, you know, put it towards your chin, your face, or whatever. Andrew Tate has been fighting like this for years. Like I said, there's no way he's gonna go from fighting like this for years, you know, to one of the best boxers with the best guards out of nowhere. Like, it just doesn't happen like that. So yeah, I can't really think about anything else, guys. Go down in the comment section and tell me what you guys think about this versus Chase Demoor versus Andrew Tate. This is a different type of versus, but I did want to talk about this because this is kind of in my realm of what I like to talk about, is people going up against each other in verses and stuff like that. So let me know if you guys like something like this. If you guys want me to do more fights about this, I would love to learn more about boxing and kickboxing and mixed martial arts as well. I used to wrestle in high school, but I am looking forward to getting into some other type of MMA, maybe like BJJ sometime in the future, maybe some kickboxing as well. Let me know down in the comment section if you have been, or if you've done MMA in some type of form. Maybe you've done, you know, Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing, whatever. Let me know if you've done something like that, or you trained to do something like that. Let me know what you guys think about the Andrew Tate versus Chase Demoor fight. Like, did you guys think that Andrew Tate should have won? Did you guys think that Chase Demoor, did you guys already know that Chase Demoor was going to win? Like, let me know what you guys think. Let me know about everything that you think about this fight, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.